Good morning everybody, welcome back to LilyLuLou. If you're new here, my name's Karen, I'm the Junk Journal Geek, and I'm here today to play with some embellishments. I've got all these little bits and pieces on my desk, and I thought I would just turn the camera on and you can join me and watch what I'm doing. So I have these little heart shapes. I used to make little stuffed hearts and sell them. A friend and I used to have a little stall in a shop, and I found these when I was going through all my bits and pieces, and I had intended to do some fabric clusters, so I thought, oh, I'll use that little heart, and I thought I would turn the camera on. So I've got here literally tiny pieces of lace and bits and pieces that I've cut off from doing other things. You know, I've been working on my Delft Blue journal, and these are all like little scrappy offcuts that were on my desk from things I've been making. I've got one of my tubs of buttons here, I've got some needles, I've got a selection of threads, and so I thought I'd just turn the camera on and you can watch me. If you can hear that horrible crunchy noise in the background, that's Max. He's got his chew and he's making a lot of noise on the wooden floor behind me, but at least he's not barking. And I'm trying not to make too much noise because my husband's on nights again, so he's up in bed. So we'll see how we go. It's a very dull day here, so I've got the light on, so excuse me, hope it's not too shadowy. I'm still coughing after that flu I had, so I've also got my coffee here to help me through, and as well as my bits and pieces that are on my desk, I've also got my bag of scraps here and my jar of ribbons and things in case I need those. So the first thing I've done is just put a little bit of glue stick on my heart base to hold these bits in place while I decide where I want them, and then I will stitch them. So I was looking at this bit earlier. This is what started me off, because that's shaped like the top of the heart, and I thought, oh, I could use that. So I started pulling everything out, and then I thought I'd turn the camera on and you could join me. So I'm literally just all these little tiny scrappy bits that I've had left over. I'm just going to arrange on this heart-shaped background. Now this would be too big, I think, to use actually in the journal, because it's, let's see, what is it, about 3 3/4 high, 3 3/4 inches high. So I think that would be too big to actually use in the journal on a page, but it could be used on the cover, or you could, you know, join two together, stuff them and make it into like a instead of having a dangle of tassels on the back of your journal on the spine, you could have, you know, a dangly heart, stuffed heart, and also you could, you know, I'm sure you can think of lots of uses for things like this. So you can see I'm just literally layering up all these teeny tiny pieces that you would probably normally pop straight in the bin, and, you know, just basically covering up the heart in the background. So that's basically covered there. I've got a little tiny piece showing at the top. Could probably tuck that in there. So how are you all? I hope you're all well. It's extremely cold here. They have mentioned snow again, But as I say, we don't get snow here very often. So yeah, my idea is I'm now going to, you know, stitch all over this to hold everything down. Max, no. And then I'll probably add a button or something on there to finish it off. So I need a needle and thread now. And I wonder if I have here to hand my needle threader, otherwise we'll be here for hours while I'm trying to thread a needle on camera. Oh, that's a better one. That one's a bit too small for me to see. And I think we'll go with the white, just so that it blends in. And I've just grabbed a new spool of thread out of my box. Oh, that wasn't too bad. I thought it might take me ages to find the end of the thread there. So yeah, what's the weather like where you are? I'm near the south coast, the southeast coast of England. I need my coffee. It's warming my hands up as well. So as I say, we don't get snow that often here, being on the coast. I've done that wrong. I need to thread it through the needle first. Is it going to be one of those days? Right, let's see what if I can see what I'm doing, because we haven't got nice bright daylight. That's not in. So if it takes me this long to thread the needle threader, imagine how long it would take me to actually get the thread through. So if you haven't used one of these before, you pop the little wire piece. I don't know if you can see. It's probably not focusing, but there's a little wire piece there. So you thread that through your needle, and it has a little gap. You thread your thread in between the gap, and then you just pull it through and your needle is threaded. And even though sometimes this is a bit faffy getting through the needle, it's still easier than actually getting the thread directly through the needle. So hopefully my bits and pieces will stay in place because I've put some glue stick on. I don't normally knot my thread. You may or may not know, if you've been here before, I used to be a cross stitcher, and we never knot our embroidery thread when we're working. So, and then first of all, I'm just going to come from the back and just do some little tiny stitches here and there. Well, I'm going to go around the edge first. And I'm basically just stitching, but stitches that you can't really see, just to hold all of those pieces of lace and crochet trim and embroidery, broderie anglaise, and all the bits and pieces that we've added on. I just want to stitch them down so that they're held in place, so that they don't move. So it's a nice, you know, slow stitching sort of project. Now, I've pulled my needle off my thread already. I've only done 3 stitches. Max, be quiet. You've just come in. He's sulking because he knows I'm videoing. So he wants a bit of attention. Right, let's have another bash at this. My hands are very dry as well, so everything's sticking to my hands. I have just put some hand cream on, but I need more than that, I think. Right. So I'm just gonna, where am I? I'm at the back. So I'm just gonna carry on, stitch around the edge here. I hope this is not too boring for you to watch. think things like this give a lot of impact for not a lot of work and definitely not a lot of skill. It's literally just, you know, all your little bits and pieces that you might normally throw away, just arrange them on some sort of backing. And obviously it doesn't have to be a heart shape. Depending on how long we are doing this one, I might do another piece that's smaller that I could use in the journal, you know, as decoration, which is what I intended to do. Oh, what have I done here? I've hooked that around something it shouldn't be hooked around. Oh my goodness me. Maybe me filming myself sewing on camera wasn't such a good idea. Right, let's, third time lucky, re-thread the needle and try again, and hopefully this time all will go swimmingly. So I have a funny story for you today. Yesterday we had the case of the missing bacon. It was a menopause mystery. My husband's on nights at the moment, as I say, so I tend to, when he wakes up in the morning, well, it's not the morning, it's the afternoon, sort of lunchtime, I tend to make him a cooked breakfast. So yesterday morning, he went to bed, the dog walkers came and took Max out, and I had run out of bacon, so I popped down to the local shops in the village and I bought a packet of bacon and I bought some more milk. Came home, put the bacon and the milk in the fridge, and then about half an hour before I was due to wake my husband up, got the bacon out of the fridge, put it on the side to start, you know, coming up to room temperature before I cooked it. And then I had some washing on the line, and something had fallen off in the wind, so I went out and picked that up, brought it in and put it on the airer. Made a quick visit to the downstairs loo, put some bits and pieces in the dishwasher, you know, just potted about, and then it was time to cook the breakfast. So I put the kettle on, made a pot of tea, got the frying pan out, put the frying pan on the hob, started warming it up, drop of oil in the pan, went to open the bacon, and the bacon's disappeared. So of course I thought, oh, I meant to get it out the fridge and I didn't actually do it. So I went to the fridge, no bacon. So then I thought, oh, maybe it's dropped into the fridge. Maybe I've had the freezer door open for some reason, because we've got a fridge freezer, so the fridge is on top of the freezer. So I thought, oh, maybe it's dropped down into the freezer. Searched the freezer, no bacon. So then I moved everything on the kitchen counters, bearing in mind we live in a very tiny house. The downstairs is basically one room. As I'm sitting here talking to you, on my left is our lounge. Oh, I've started going a bit big with these stitches. I need to go down a bit. Yeah, on my left, as I'm sitting here, is the lounge area, and behind me. And then on my right is a little archway through to the kitchen area, where we also have our dining table. So, yeah, looked all around the kitchen for the bacon. Pulled out the microwave in case it had fallen down behind the microwave, pulled out the air fryer in case I'd put it on top of the air fryer without thinking it had fallen down the back of the air fryer. Searched the whole kitchen, no bacon. So then I retraced my steps, went out in the garden. Did I take it out in the garden with me? No. Did I take it in the downstairs loo with me? No. Then next step, bins out, isn't it? So emptied all the kitchen bin, had a rummage through there, no bacon. Then went through all the recycling that was waiting to be taken out, went all through there, no bacon. So then I thought, I'm sure Max did not have time to nick the bacon and dispose of it that thoroughly in that short space of time. You know, he never does jump up at the counter, but we've had my daughter's dog here for the weekend and she is a little bit naughty. She does jump up at the counter. And I thought, well, if he's thought, oh, that's a good idea, and copied her, maybe he's grabbed the bacon. And I thought, if he'd taken it, he must have hidden it somewhere because he can't possibly have had time to eat the bacon and all the packaging that the bacon was in. No way. So then I'm on my hands and knees, crawling around the floor, looking to see if the bacon is under one of the sofas. Then I've got all the cushions off the sofa as he buried it, you know, behind the cushions of the sofa. No bacon. So at this point I thought, maybe I didn't actually buy the bacon. Maybe I thought I'd bought it and put it in the fridge and taken it out the fridge, and I've just imagined all that. So then I go and get my receipt from the shop. No, there's the bacon, there's the milk. Open the fridge, the milk's still there. Where's the bacon? At this point, my husband comes downstairs and I said, I'm really sorry, I've lost the bacon. So then he starts searching everywhere while I make him egg on toast instead. So hubby eats his breakfast, goes and gets ready for work. And I thought, well, I'm not going to keep looking for this bacon. It will turn up somewhere ridiculous at some point. So I carried on with my day. So I started vacuuming, emptied the dishwasher, opened the saucepan drawer to put a saucepan away, and there's my bacon. So I don't know what had happened. I don't know if I opened the drawer to take the frying pan out, had the bacon in my hand and put it in the drawer as I picked up the saucepan, or whether I opened the drawer and knocked the bacon into the drawer without realising that I'd done it. But that's where the bacon was, in the saucepan drawer. So that was my menopause mystery for yesterday. Obviously there's one every day because you know what it's like. But even my husband said, maybe you didn't buy the bacon. I was going, I've got the receipt. It's there in black and white. He said, oh, maybe you didn't put it in your bag then when you were packing your bags after you bought the shopping. And I was saying, I did. I remember putting it in the fridge and then I remember taking it out of the fridge. Just didn't remember what I'd done with it after that. Honestly, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Oops. So I know I'm being very slow here. I hope this is not too boring to watch. But I'm trying to make my stitches small so that they're not noticeable. Obviously, I got carried away around the edge, the other edge, and I did go a bit mad. My stitches are a bit too big, but I don't think it will be particularly noticeable once we finish the whole thing. So going around the edge just makes sure all those pieces are secured down, and it also means that if the fabric underneath begins to fray, it's calico. These hearts are made out of calico, or they're cut out of calico fabric, I should say. If it does fray, it won't go, you know, beyond the stitched edge. Right, need another slurp of coffee, I think. I've stopped talking and Max has gone quiet. He's definitely attention seeking, like a little child. So you'll have to share any funny stories that you have, Your own menopause mysteries make me feel like I'm not alone. I know I'm not, even if you don't tell me. Now this little piece of blue that's going around the point here at the bottom, once I've stitched everything down, I could trim that so that it matches the shape of the heart underneath, but I may well just leave it because I like the scrappy sort of overhanging edge, and you can see the heart point shape underneath, so you know what it's supposed to look like. So making these reminds me a little bit of doing crazy quilt. Is it crazy quilting? Where you know, you add the material on right sides together onto a base piece and then flip it back on itself. Right, now I'm just gonna, I think I've gone around the whole, oh no, there's a bit there I haven't done. Let's finish this edge, and then I will go up the middle, I think. Can't remember exactly where I started. Yeah, when I used to go, as again, you'll have heard this before if you've been here a while, I used to go on a Friday morning to a lovely sewing class. It was called Patchwork and Quilting, which is why I joined. It was a, you know, a local authority adult education class. And I went there with the intention of finishing a quilt that I'd started for my daughter years before. And you know, it's like you never actually have time to sit and finish these things. I've got a little tiny gap there, but I might have a button there or something, so I don't know whether to pop something on there or whether to not worry about it. Maybe I'll pop that piece on top. Again, I'm not sure which is the right way round, so I think if it's not immediately obvious, it doesn't really matter. That's the way I go. That's the way we roll here. Yeah, so I started this class, and then when the class got underway, what it actually was, the lady who ran the class had different ideas every week. You could either bring your own project and work on it if you wanted to do your patchwork and quilting, or you could join in with the, you know, the new ideas that she was presenting. And of course you get FOMO, don't you? You have to join in with the new ideas. So I never did actually finish the quilt at that class. I did it at home even more years later. But I did learn lots of interesting things, and to say the crazy patchwork was one of them. I made my daughter an elephant with crazy patchwork, and I've pulled my needle off my thread again. Actually, I made this in that class as well, my little bin cushion. And that class, that was about 15 years ago. Oh, I've done it again. I'm doing while I'm talking, not concentrating. Yeah, that was about 15 years ago, and the reason I stopped going was because no, it's longer than that. Oh my goodness, it must be 20 years ago. How scary. The reason I stopped going was because we moved out of the area. Otherwise I'd probably still be there now if that class is still going. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And it's nice, you know, to sit and stitch with other people and have a natter, bit like I'm doing now, except I'm doing the nattering. You lot are not saying much. So I'm just going up the middle, but if I see a bit that's, you know, I think is hanging a bit, I'm just catching it with another stitch. So the back of this is going to look messy, which I normally try and keep the back of my work neat, but I'm making these with the intention of sticking them down onto other things so you won't see the back. So I'm going to go up the side of this piece of broad rayon rose in the middle here. Sorry about the noise, because it's quite a big piece. I don't really want that flapping about. I'm just wondering whether to tuck that. Can I tuck that under there, or have I already stitched that? Because I've got quite a lot of white here. I'm going to take that additional piece off there so we see a bit more of the cream. It won't tuck under because I've already caught this under something else, so it's okay. Why'd you like to do noisy stuff while I'm videoing, Max? What's that all about? Now you could do this on the machine. It'd be quite nice actually to sort of go crazy and go all over this with stitching. I'm just doing the basics of what I need to do today to get this done on camera, because you don't want to be here for absolutely hours watching me do this. But I may well carry on with this once I've switched the camera off and add more stitching just to make sure everything is secure. But I think for now I'll just go down the other side of this piece. Oh my goodness, why do I never do this. I've lost count now of how many times I've pulled the thread out of the needle. I can definitely tell my vision is deteriorating. I've always been long-sighted. I have to wear glasses when I watch telly or when I drive. No, I'm not long-sighted, I'm short-sighted. Got it the wrong way round. But I've noticed over the last couple of years, you know, working close work like this, I can't see as clearly as I used to. But I had my eyes tested last year, and they said my prescription hadn't changed, which I was very surprised at, because I hadn't been to the opticians before that for probably 4 years, because we had lockdown, and you know, lockdown came just as I was about due for another eye check. So we had lockdown, then that, you know, that was a year written off, wasn't it? And then the following year was the, I don't know really what happened the following year. Right, that's come off again, so I'm going to leave that now. It's annoying me. I do need to rethread it because I need to put a button on. Yeah, so, you know, then we moved. So what with one thing and another, I hadn't had my eyes tested for a good 4 years. I think it needs a blue button. I'm just going to tip some buttons out. Hope it doesn't make too much noise. Oops. That's quite nice. I don't know if that's too small. Yeah, so once I did go and get my eyes tested, once we'd moved, is that the same? Nearly. I was very surprised that my prescription hadn't changed. It's too dark, isn't it? Right, which one of these are we going to have? I mean, we could have more than one, but that one looks a bit turquoisey. I want something between these two colours, really. Max, can you come out? You're going to pull everything down. Take it out. And that button's a bit grubby, actually. It needs a bit of a wash, so that might be that one. Just see if I can see anything else. If anything else shouts at me. I mean, it's not like I have a shortage of buttons, but I literally have so many buttons that we could do an hour video of me just looking for a button. This is just one of my pots. Some may say I have a problem when it comes to buttons. I say the only problem is I don't have enough. Right, I'm going to go with that one, otherwise we'll be here all day. So let's once again rethread my needle. I think in future when I'm filming I need to use double thread and knot it so that the needle can't come off. Thank goodness for needle threaders, and thank goodness that came off near the middle. Right, so now I'm just going back to the back of my work and deciding where exactly I want this button to be. Normally I put them sort of up here on the point, but I feel like this one needs to be further down. Don't know why, I just do. Hiding all of that broderie anglaise now. But there maybe. Wonder if that is actually the middle. It's going to be about there. That's near enough. I mean, it is supposed to look scrappy and handmade, so it doesn't need to be mathematically correct. And then once you've done this, you can always go back and add more on. You can do more stitching. You could do some contrast stitching in a different colour thread, you know, to make more of a feature of each piece. Once you've, you know, got everything secured. As I say, you could run it under the machine and go all over it as well, which would give a, you know, another different sort of look. Right, I think we need to go through this once more. Oh, I'm close to the end of my thread now. And then I just come under here. And that's that done. So That's taken quite a long time, so I don't think I should attempt another one. But let me know what you think, whether you think it's pretty or not. I'm just deciding whether I do need to trim this edge, because this edge is lined up and this edge is overhanging, but I will live with it and decide. But so that would look quite nice on the top of a journal, or I do think it's a little bit big for a journal page, but it would definitely go on the front. And as I say, you can, you know, get even smaller scraps. You could even, you know, take a piece of this and make a little cluster on top of this, you know, with different bits and pieces. That bit's probably too big, but bit there, and you know, you could just layer bits and pieces up like that. Do a similar thing, bung a button on when you finished, and you've got a little tiny fabric cluster for your journal. So there's all sorts of ideas. I've also got, I was going to do this today as well, but again, I don't think I should really keep you any longer. I've got some Sussex puffs here that came in the slow stitch packs that I got from Betty and Ivy, and I wanted to sew some buttons on the middle of those, but yeah, I don't think you need to see me sewing anymore today, do you? So thank you for joining me. I hope you found that interesting. Enjoy your own crafty time, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.